waste management and valorization, and especially for agri-food waste. So in this presentation, I first give some data about the problematic of the waste from agro-food industries and food security. Then I will speak about the waste management using the composting solution as a technique, and then I present the process, its advantages, and then some applications of this valorization by composting. And I will specifically speak about the olive oil industry waste, and then the confectionery, the data culture, and then poultry industry. And finally, I will finish by my opinion about this subject. If we consider the people, the world people, the population will reach the 10 million inhabitants in 2050. And these people will look for the work. They will be in the urban areas, and urbanization will be about 20 to 100%. And also, these people need industrial activities to live and to get their food security that give them the disponible availability of the food, the economical and physical access to this food, and its use and stability. So all this industry and activity and life will draw a penury in some resources. And also, these people will generate some waste, urban waste as well as industrial waste. And the quantity is estimated about 3.4 million of tons per year. And this waste should be well managed and to allow to people to live in the limits of our world. So, if we consider the solid waste management, these are this year about 2.2 million of tons, and almost the 33% of this waste is discharged in the landfill, which are uncovered feed. This is a practice which we use it in many different the countries in the world, and it raises a serious sanitary problem as well as environmental problems. So also, we may notice that 9% of emissions in the world are from the industrial processes, and there is a waste of foods that is estimated about 1 million of tons, and the mean of 132 kilograms per inhabitant, and this will have environmental and socio-economical impacts. So, if we come back to this wasted element, food, we may notice that the waste is first from agricultural exploitations, then from the selling of these foods, and finally in the retails and food services, which represent 70% of this waste. Also, if we consider this 1.3 million of tons that are wasted, the majority is from fruit and vegetables, which represent 45%, followed by fish and fish products, and then cereals. And if we consider this waste according to the country production, we may notice that America, Latin America, and followed by Europe are the first waste countries, followed by, if you consider the consumer, it will be the North of America and Oceania, then the Europe. And you may notice that this quantity is huge per inhabitant and per year. If we come back to these fruits and vegetables, we may notice that this is the first most important quantity which is wasted. But if we consider the gas emission, it will be the meat and the poultry, which represent 60% of the heat generated, of the gas generated from these materials that could be valorized, of course. So such waste, food waste, will be will draw the use of arable soils, the use of a huge volume of water, and then the emission of gas without taking any interest or benefit from them. And also there will be an action and an impact on the biodiversity, which will be diminished. If we come back to the rules of sustainable development of ONU in 1915, we may notice that some of these goals will emphasize about the promotion of sustainable agriculture, also the guarantee of durable, sustainable water resources management, and also the fight against climatic changes. All of these goals will let us thinking about a circular economy. And if we consider one process, whatever it is in food, we may notice that all the processes will need entrance. Then there is the process which will have impacts on the environment. So if I consider the transformation of things, of goods, there will be a use of energy, water, packaging, and additives, and a big quantity will be transferred into waste, as well as impact on climate. What is recommended is to first reduce at the source this spoilage, this waste of food, then to reuse it for human beings and to feed it people, then to use it for animals. And the third recommendation is to make value of these elements. Then, if not, we can go to the recycling, and two processes are commonly recommended, that are composting and anaerobic digestion. So, at the least, we can make them incineration or in the landfill, and this will be a big waste. Actually, regarding World Bank, there will be an augmentation, an increase of this waste in 2050, about 70%. And then this problem of waste will be major preoccupations because of public health, or also because of resources and their conservation. So the three things to do is to reduce, to reuse, and recycle, which is recommended. Actually, the Environmental Protection Agency has given some option regarding this waste and their management. And the first, what is recommended is to prevent the production, then to reduce at the source their use, their reuse, their recyclage, then energy recuperation, and finally landfill. If we come back to different wastes that are rich in organic matter, we can notice that the goal of these treatments is whether an energetic valorization or an agronomic valorization. So, if we consider methanization, biomethanization, we can have the two goals, that means the energetic production as well as agronomic valorization. However, for composting, it is only an agronomic valorization that we are going to consider soon. So, many wastes are, organic wastes are available in the world. These are leaves, green waste, wood, many other things, sludge from wastewater treatment plants, as well as excrement from animal breeding, and so on. And my work was made in Tunisia. If I come back to my country, we may notice that all of these waste are rich in organic matter, and they have a rate superior to 50%. These are poultry manure, byproducts of olive oil extraction, the waste, agricultural waste, and also almond solid waste management, solid waste from urban the city, and then also confectionery waste that are wastewater, as well as bark, sesame bark. So, big quantity of the organic waste is generated yearly, and also with this waste there is illnesses, and then you have to find out a solution to prevent these illnesses and diseases. And composting is a way to choose, and I will clarify why this is the best solution for a developed country. There is a political volunteer that encourages this technology of valorization of organic fraction waste. And the impact of this valorization will be the preservation of agriculture and as also as energy consumption. So let's know what is composting in 2 words rapidly. It is a microbiological process which is held in aerobic, and it is controlled, and there is different flora that are applied to compost. These are bacteria and fungi which make a bioconversion of organic matter, and then they give very stable products and hygienic products. This is called the compost. So it is the product of decomposition, then mineralization of organic matter, then humidification under the microbial activity, and in the optimal conditions we will find the compost. And this production of compost is followed by heat generation. This heat is very important because it is going to destroy all the pathogenic microbe and germ. So the process is very general. It could be applied to many kinds of waste, bio-waste, municipal solid waste, and so on. Also, as advantages, it is very easy to make and rentable. It allows an amelioration and improvement of soil structure. It increases the water retention in the soil, and also it is act as against the dehydration of the soil. The soil particles will be linked together, and that will improve the disponibility of nutrients for the plant. All this will improve the agronomic valorization of the soils. Also, with this compost, we are decreasing the consumption of chemical fertilizers, and we are going to fight against the climatic heating. And we are in a sustainable development in the framework of a circular economy. Also, if we come back to the literature, and we found that in the world, over 460 patents treating the composting, there is 60 patents which were published in China, and the technical composting way used is aerobic composting. So, to sum up, co-composting is very easy to handle. You have just to take, on the left side, sorry, the pointer doesn't work, but it is all kinds of the waste you may have. You should mix this waste with water, and water can come from wastewater, from industrial wastewater, and then we let the microbial flora acting for 3 to 4 months at least, and then we will get our organic matter stabilized, and this constitutes the compost, which is a fertilizer. Many parameters are applied to succeed in this process. First one are related to the raw materials, that means waste, and it is related carbon to nitrogen, the humidity, the density and porosity of this waste. Then to control this process, there is temperature of the intro, there is oxygen consumption, enzymatic activities, carbon, organic, and then emission of gases. And finally, to control the compost, quality, it will be the rate carbon to nitrogen, the humic substances, and the lack of phytotoxicity. The process will be held in four main phases, which are mesophilic, thermophilic, and then cooling and maturation process, where different kinds of microorganisms, bacteria, fungi, and Actinomyces are implied. Also, a recent study based on metagenomics has shown that in the compost there is more than 2,000 species, bacterial species, which are present. Some are thermophilic, some are cyclophilic. So there is another constatation around why compost in Tunisia. And if we have a look on the landfills in Tunisia, we may notice that 80% of our soils are very poor and have less than 2% of organic matter. And besides that, we have a big quantity of waste that are from olive oil extraction. These are from that palmier, from fruit and vegetable markets. There is a mark of coffee, also poultry miners, and so on. So, till more than 1 decade, we were working on this subject and about composting the byproducts of olive oil. And to remind what are these products, we should consider the process of olive oil extraction that starts by grounding the olives, mixing with water, then separation of two phases. One is solid, which is called grignon, and the other is liquid, which contains the oil, then the effluent, which is margin, called in Tunisia and Algeria and many other countries, and this effluent is very rich in organic matter and in minerals. So, if I consider the national production in Tunisia of olives, we may have 500,000 tons of margin yearly, with the half of grignon of solid waste. And this solid waste will be extracted to have an exhausted grignon, an exhausted solid without residual oil. And then for the effluent, there will be storage. 2 minutes. I thought it is 25 minutes. Okay. So let's speak about this process, which is very easy to handle. You should just make a mixture of this residue, and then we can have the product with quality according to the standards and the French standards. Some trials of production on this compost have shown that we increase and we may improve the yield to 27% when you use this compost instead of the fumier. And then we made many trials, and we have shown that we can win in the yield of the result. So after this, we have tried to make the composting of the waste of date, and then we held these different waste, we brown them, we make this withdraw, we control all the parameters, and we have noticed that it goes very well, and we have found a very good quality of compost and a stable compost that was confirmed by different measurements. And finally, the most important thing is how to use this compost to make a biological fighting. And here we have tried many fungi that are frequent in Tunisia, especially Verticillium, which attack the olive trees. And we make our joist, what is called a tea compost. This tea compost will use it to treat these verticillioses, and we demonstrated that there is inhibition of the fungi, almost 70%, and then make experiment on this verticillum with different concentrations of joists, and we find completely inhibition of the fungi with its modification. So, what I can conclude, and I will stop here, that we can say that the compost is a very easy technique to be practiced in all the countries, especially our countries, North Africa, and we may go up to make tea, compost tea, which is a fermented liquid from the compost that will act positively and will inhibit many fungi and will be a substitute of chemical pesticide, and it is a really biopesticide which is very efficient, very not costly and not harmful for the earth. Maybe I can say that we can use many kinds of waste. Here we have experiments with wood, with almonds, barks, with sheep, with cafe, Markov cafe, and we make a mix with margarine, the effluent, and we have found a very good product when we change the composition of the raw material, which are waste, different kinds of waste. Of course, there is problem is the polyphenol, since you use a margarine. No, they are all degraded, biodegraded, and we make measurements and analysis, and we are sure that they are a good product without anything. Now we can move to a smart compost that is made in a controlled bioreactor, where we are going to shorten the time needed, because the only problem with compost is the time needed to have the products. So if you control all these parameters, we may have a very quick composting that will be free and ready in about 10 days only, and we win a lot of time by using AI, and that's all for this. I'm on time, Chairman? Yes, I will stop here if you want. So, this is the conclusion that smart compost is very interesting to be considered nowadays, because now for the classical compost it's easy, all people can make it, but this is a good solution for the future to win time, to win money, of course, and it gives a very, very good product that is ecologically interesting, since we are in sustainable development and a circular economy. Then we have made a valorization of agro-food waste, and on the social point of view, we can create many jobs for citizens, green jobs. And this will give a good quality of life of citizens. I thank you very much for your attention.